Hi guys, welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. This week I will be looking at Shoreline stashes, and I have to say there are a whole bunch of these. So I'm going to jump straight in, no bullshit, let's go and find all of these stashes. The first stash I'm going to start with is fairly close to the tunnel extract. If you look for the bunker on the road, often where there's scavs patrolling, nearby to that there will be a ruined house. Out the front of the ruined house, by some rocks, you will find a buried barrel. The second stash is fairly close by on Scav Island. Behind one of the sheds there will be a lumber pile. Between the lumber pile and the shed itself will be another barrel. Follow the road along the coast from Scav Island and you will soon bump into a yellow bus and a police car on the road. Just down to the right of these there is a cluster of rocks, and beside that another stash. Stash number 4 is on the beach just below gas station, inside one of the beach changing rooms. Going back to the village, which is fairly close to the tunnel extract, there are quite a few stashes. This one is located in a back garden behind the wooden shed. If you're worried about finding these, I'm going to include some maps in the description of this video to help you locate them. Go back out onto the village road, and up that road slightly on your left will be some dumpsters. Beside those is another stash. Just across the road will be your next stash, which is located inside the cement cylinders. Head across the main street and up the road all the way to the back wall, and beside the lumber truck you will find another stash just beside some bushes. This one is a little harder to describe, but I've orientated myself with the supermarket in the village to give you an idea of where to head. There's a yellow house on the outer edge of the village heading towards the swamp, and beside this house is another stash hidden in the ground. There are a host of stashes inside of the swamp area. Whilst it's difficult to differentiate the houses, I will leave a map in the description helping you to locate these. The first one I'm going to show you is located inside of a shed beside a house in the swamp. For the second stash in the swamp area, look for a house which has a table just beside it on its right hand side. There will be some firewood on the table, which I have used to call this the firewood house. Inside of its outer fence, there is a stash hidden in the ground. Close to the church, which is detached from the houses you've just seen in the swamp, there is actually a body of swamp water with a stash inside. It's going to be a risky move for you to loot this one, so I'd advise caution at all times. Finally, on the other side of the swamp towards the back wall, where there are a bunch of player spawns, there is another barrel beside a fence and a lumber pile. Head up towards the health resort from the swamp area and you should find some hills. On top of one of these hills will be a campsite. Close by to that, another stash. If you're familiar with the cottages or villa, which is located near the village, there is a field out back called Suicide Fields. Beside one of the hay bales is another hidden stash. On the other side of these villas, out the front, there is a body of water. On an island in the middle of that body of water, you can find another stash right at the tip of a little peninsula. Beside the villa there is a construction site lined with blue fencing. Beside the blue fence, inside the construction site, there is another stash. Just below the health resort's west wing, you can find a bus depot. Outside of the bus depot, by the back fence, another stash is hidden. Now unfortunately I was in offline mode here, but this is a really good example of one of the rare items you can find inside of a stash, that being a roller watch in this instance. Now this one is quite difficult for me to describe, but by the bunker, which is located close to the Rock Passage extract, there is a downed drone. From here you can actually see the dome, which is part of Reserve, the new map. There is a cluster of bushes just by the cliff face, which is home to another stash hidden in the ground. You can head over the river by the bunker and follow the wall all the way down to one of the very familiar spawn points located just between these two pylons. Turn around and against the back wall, there will be another stash. This next one is really easy to find, it's just outside the fence beside the east wing of the resort. Between the weather station and the power plant, you will be able to find a bridge which has a toppled tank on top of it. Underneath this bridge, there is a hidden stash in the ground. We're jumping over to the road to customs extract now. Just along the wall there will be a cluster of trees where you can find another stash hidden in the ground. Again, there will be a map in the description which will show the location of this stash. From the location of the last stash, you should be able to see a radio tower. Beside that, you can find another stash just along the fence. There's a hill fairly close to the same radio tower, which forms an overlook over the fields in the nearby area. You can find another stash just on the tip of this overlook. Heading back towards the health resort, you should be able to see a row of pylons. Underneath one of these pylons by the brown brush, you should be able to find another stash. For the next stash, the best way to orientate yourself is with the downed drone. You can see that I use this to point myself in the right direction and then head towards a cluster of bushes which hides the next stash. Still fairly close to the same drone and a ruined house beside it, there is an open area of ground with a grave. Close to that grave, you can find another stash. Opposite the large construction site on the coast of Shoreline, you can see a large boulder just behind a ruined house. Beside this large boulder is another stash location. Head across the road and into the large construction site by the coast, and on your left you can find a pile of tires rubbers, which is where you will find another stash. Now, a few of you might not have seen this location before, but if you head down the street from the construction site, going left from the last stash, there will be a couple of trains pulled up on a train track. There's actually two stashes in this area. One of them is going to be down by the beach, underneath a fallen tree. The second of these two stashes is going to be beside one of the train cars inside of the fence. Orientating myself between the road to customs extract and the tower, which is often host to some scav spawns, you can head over to your right hand side and you will be able to find another stash in the trees right beside the edge of the map which lines the river. The last location that I'm going to show you should be a fairly easy one to find. You'll be able to find it by the lighthouse, which is on the peninsula just past the office blocks by the gas station. Thank you for watching, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you want to see some more locations for interchange, that was my last video that I posted here on this channel, and you can stop by on my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Mr. Atomic Duck. If you want to discuss any that I missed, you can post them in the comments. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.